Hey everybody, Brady Crocker. Making something different today. I thought I'd post it. Making a homemade tres leches for one of Janine's teammates at school. So the ingredients are actually pretty simple. I've used 1.5 cups of cake flour. You could use all-purpose flour. And to that you add basically a couple teaspoons of baking powder and some salt and stirred it up. I've already done all that. Then I've separated 6 eggs from their white and yolk. The 6 egg yolks are mixed with 1/2 cup of sugar. It's right over there. And some water and some oil. And I'm going to mix those up. In the meantime, these are the egg whites, and it's really important that you don't get any egg yolk in there because otherwise they won't whip. Now I'm using my KitchenAid stand mixer because it's just quicker, a lot less work. If you've ever made like meringue or anything like that, you'll know that you know what I mean when I say it takes a while. It's like kneading dough by hand. Okay, that was a secret ingredient for this. That's cream of tartar. It goes in. Now we're gonna just put this on the stand mixer. Make sure I get it all the way in. As you heard it click. Now we take the whisk. And that goes on. It's just it's real simple, even though I'm not making it look like it. There, you push it up and twist it. Now my stand mixer has this little handle here that moves it up and locks it in place. And then we're going to hit go. Until it forms almost firm peaks. Now for the egg yolks, I'm going to use my little stick blender, hand blender. And what we want to do here is get this to a nice creamy consistency. And this is just water, oil, and sugar for right now, and egg yolks. So this takes a minute. But you want to keep doing this and mixing it until you get that nice kind of pale yellow color. Then this is going to go into our cake flour. And what the eggs and the baking powder do, because we're not using yeast because it's a cake, is it helps the cake rise. It gives it that nice cakey texture. Alright, this is starting to turn the color, so that's good. It takes a little bit of time. And what's going to happen is when I get this to how I want it, I'm going to eventually add it into the flour along with a little bit of the egg whites, which I don't have on a medium-high speed right now. I just have it on medium so I can do 2 things at once without losing control of both. Yeah, you can see that this is a nice consistency. The color is lightened up quite a bit from just egg yolk. And then what we're going to do now they're getting foamy. So what I'm going to do is now we got to start adding sugar to the meringue and increase the speed. You only add a little bit at a time. Let it incorporate. And I put half a cup of sugar in the egg yolks. And we're going to add a half a cup of sugar to the egg whites. And once they form basically firm peeps, we're good. Then I'll show you how you put it together. The reason you put it in kind of slow with the sugar is so that it all gets incorporated and mixes in. Alright. One more quarter cup. Again, I'm just adding a little bit at a time, probably a tablespoon or two. And it's already starting to really get some volume in here, which is what you want. Alright. So we're done with the sugar for now. Again, I'm going to increase the speed here. Sorry for the noise, but then once it's done, I'll show you what it looks like. You'll be able to see the stiff peaks forming. It's actually really kind of cool. There really is just a lot of science to baking, whether it's bread or whatever. Not quite there yet, but can you imagine how long this would take if you did it by hand? I'll bring you over so you can kind of see it at work. You can see already how much that's thickened up. Altogether, we've been mixing it now for about 3 or 4 minutes. Now we're going all the way here. You got to be careful if you go to the high speeds, whipping speeds, because you want to make sure that you don't over whip this, it'll break. But it's starting to look good. You can see the ribbons running through it. see how we look and see if we're getting there with the peaks. No, not yet. So back to whipping it. It's at the soft peak stage now. You could probably get away with it, but you want it a little firmer than what I've got it at right now, just to get a real nice texture to the cake. There we go. You could also do this, like I said, by hand, or you could use a hand mixer, but that would take you probably 15 minutes, even with a hand mixer. All right, I think we're there. I'll show you what I mean by stiff peaks. When you take this off and you look at it, you can see that it just kind of stands up, which is exactly where we want to be. So now we'll take this off. We can move this out of the way. Just kappa, kappa, kappa to get that off of there. Come on. And then this has got to be rinsed off because I'm going to use it for making the whipped cream. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to whisk this egg yolk mixture into the dry ingredients. And where did I put, oh, there it is. You want to make sure you get everything out. I mean, you spend that much time putting it together and doing it, you want it to use it all too. So for this, I'm going to use a dough whisk. It's a Danish dough whisk. And it's just, it's a little easier than using a regular whisk because everything doesn't get caught up in the prongs. So you mix that in, and it's going to be a little thick, but you want to keep mixing this until all these streaks of white are out. So this will take me, a minute or two maybe. But you just mix it. And you can see it's already looking like almost like a pancake batter. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take a little bit of the meringue and we're going to put that in here to loosen it up, because right now that's a little too thick, which is to be expected with this recipe. But until you see all the streaks gone and it's all pretty well incorporated, you're good. Then the next part is going to be the folding of the... All right. There we go. I think I've got all of that mixed in. I don't see any streaks of flour in there. A couple of little pieces of flour, not a big deal. All right, so now we take a little bit of this meringue, about a quarter, if that. And that just goes right in, and that's gonna help this loosen up to get the consistency we want. Then we're gonna fold the rest of this in. And I know this is going to be a long video and it's going to be a little tedious, but if you want to do stuff like this, by hand, from scratch, I should say, not really by hand. You know, it takes a little bit of time, but it's well worth it. So now we're mixing in the meringue with the batter, and it's already thinning out. You can see it. So we just keep doing this until basically there's no more white streaks again from the meringue or any of that, but you can already tell that it's loosening up. It can pour, which is what we want. And this is the hardest part about these cakes, to be perfectly honest. Now there's one thing I haven't added in yet, and I'm going to do it now. And it's because I like it. I'm adding some vanilla extract. You don't have to add it into your cake flour batter, but I always do, and that's roughly a teaspoon-ish. And you just stir that in. I mean, you could have put it in when you're doing the meringue, but meringues are picky. So I only go in with the meringue what absolutely has to be in there, and the rest of it like this. All right, so we've got a nice thin cake batter now that'll pour. And what we do to give it some body here is we're going to take about half of the rest, a little less. We just put it in there. Just like that. Now this takes a little bit of time. And what I like to do, we're going to fold it. You cut in half, and then you just go under it. You lift it up, mix it in. You go back and forth, side to side. Nice and easy, because now you don't want to deflate the meringue like I did when I was mixing it. So we're just folding now, because the meringue will help give the cake itself, which this is really nothing more than a sponge cake. So we keep doing this until we don't see any more white streaks. It sounds familiar, right? But it's just the nature of this beast, or anytime you're folding meringue in or anything like that. So you just keep doing that until you get a nice, good, homogeneous mixture. And you can see the body of this is going up real nice. And then we're just going to keep doing it like this. You can see those little streaks of white in there. As soon as I get those almost all the way gone by folding, I'm going to put in the rest. Once I get that in, it'll be repeat, rinse, do the same thing. So again, this takes a little bit of time, probably 5, 6, 7 minutes. Because if you go fast, you'll ruin it. This is the one thing you actually have to do slow. And like I said, you can just lift from the bottom and turn it. Another thing you can do is just turn the bowl so that you're getting a different spot every time. Make sure you're getting the sides. Now, my eyesight's not as good as it used to be, and frankly the lighting in here is not as good as it could be. So sometimes it's a little hard to see if I've got it all the way in, but all right, there we go. Now for the rest of it. And this is another one. Make sure you get it all in there. You went through a lot of trouble, so make sure you get it. And you just, I hold the bowl close so you can just plop it in. But you don't want to do it from up real high. because again, you don't want to deflate the meringue if you can help it. I mean, it's going to deflate a little bit no matter what you do. So then I just run that spatula around the sides, get off as much as I can. All right, I can get that out of the way. That's going to go in the sink because it needs to be cleaned as well. And then it's just back to folding this in. All right, I'll continue folding this, and I'll just make another video showing you how to pour the cake, set it, and how to make the actual tres leches, which is 3 milks.